Good morning. Our speaker today is another one of our HSGP members. I asked Bruce this morning, how many years has he been a member? And he says about 20. He went to his first meeting in 1994. I had no idea. I know he'd been around a while, but not that long. Anyway, Bruce Stiles has a hobby of reducing poverty in the world. He could start with me. Since April of 2013, Bruce has used the lending platform at Kiva.org to make hundreds of microloans in over 6 dozen countries and on 5 continents in order to help students to finance their education and to help improve the standard of living of entrepreneurs and other people in the developing world. Bruce has found microlending to be an ideal way to combat his desire to help extremely poor people with his love of asymmetrical financial outcomes. I've got to stop there and just say, I guess I need to apply for a loan so I can go back to school so I can understand what I just read. Asymmetrical financial outcomes. I have no idea what that means.
You get a lot for a little.
Oh, okay.
That you can understand.
I think on that note, we'll ask our speaker, Bruce Stiles, to give his presentation.
Thank you, Al. Of all the introductions that I've had, that one was certainly the most recent. Now, first, a couple of disclaimers. I do not work for Kiva. I don't officially represent them. I'm not on their payroll or anything like that. I am simply a lender who uses their platform, and I like them a whole lot. Now, sometime during the presentation, I'm probably going to mess up and say third world. When I say third world, I mean developing world. I was a cold warrior, and some habits die hard. A note about questions. If you don't understand what I'm saying, or it's unclear, or I garbled it, please let me know. I'll be happy to clarify that. If you have a question that's going to be covered later on, I'll say we'll defer that question until we get to that point. And if I forget about it, please bring it up, because I do want to answer the questions. We have a lot of material to cover and not very much time to do it in, so we cannot afford to go down a rabbit hole on a question, on some questions. So if your question is beyond the scope of the presentation, which is really limited, I'll just tell you it's beyond the scope of the presentation, and I'll answer the question after the presentation. When I show you loans and discuss loans, I'm going to go to the very most basic and probably most common one type. But these loans can be much more complicated and nuanced than what I'm telling you about. We don't have time to cover it all. So with that, how many people here think that poverty is a bad thing and it would be pretty cool if we could get rid of it? Okay, that's everyone, all right? How many people here would eliminate all poverty in the world if you could do it at no cost to yourself by waving the magic wand? I see your hands, please. Okay, that's everyone again. How many people here would give up and donate everything they own and all their money in order to make a dent in poverty in the world? Could I see your hands, please? No, that's no one. Okay, so what it seems is that we all agree that poverty is a bad thing and we should get rid of it, and people are willing to get rid of it at a cost of somewhere between nothing at all and everything they have. So the trick is to find some way to reduce poverty on the cheap. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I have a hobby, as Alice said, of reducing poverty on the cheap, and I want to share that with you. What I do is I participate in the microloan. I make microloans on Kiva in order to reduce poverty. I'm participating in the Microfinance industry or activity in the developing world. I have another hobby. I make wine at home. I make wine at home. I bought some winemaking equipment, and then I had to go out and buy racks to store the wine. And I've got over $400 tied up in that particular hobby right now. Okay? Now, in the bigger picture of things, $400 is not all that much money when you think about it. Now, if I were to stop making wine and liquidate this and, you know, say I put $400 into this, how much am I going to get out of it? I'm probably not going to get very much out of it. But I think you'll be surprised, as I was surprised, to find out how much good can be done with a relatively small amount of money that's not even spent, like in my wine hobby, but just temporarily set aside for a while. The best way that I know to do that, to illustrate the good that can come from microloans, is to actually show you some microloans and the effects of them. Now, this is Adamu. He lives in Nigeria. He's an extremely distant cousin. Adamu is a subsistence farmer, and he would like to be a commercial farmer. So this is going to be pretty challenging because I know you've not seen anything about loans yet, so we're going to kind of learn as we go. Adamu wanted to borrow $100. And he wanted to pay for that after 17 months. He wanted to use that money for as long as 17 months and pay for it all at the end of the term. Okay? Now, there were 4 people, including myself, who supported Adamu on this loan. We each did $25. Okay? And as you can see, this loan was completely repaid. We got our money back. Okay? Now, that money that I loaned out to Adamu for that period of time, how much of an impact did that loan have on me as the lender? Zero. I could have got interest on it. I know where you can get it at 0.9%. I would have paid tax on it, you know. But by and large, I call that as close to nothing as I can get. Okay? But let's take a look at what it did for Adamu. Now, a lot of times they have loan updates. Well, not a lot of times. Sometimes there's loan updates. Sometimes it's about the microlender, the Microfinance Institution, and sometimes it's an update on the lender. This one happens to be on the lender, which is why I chose it.
The borrower.
Borrower, sorry, yes, thank you, borrower. Okay, now Adamu was hoping to double his production in the field, because Western farmers get 4 times the production per acre that African farmers do. But I guess on the one hand, his enterprise was a total failure because he got only 55% increase in his yield. Okay? He bought better quality seeds and he bought fertilizer, and he got an over 50% increase in his profit, in his production. One of the other loans I supported, the guy borrowed $175 and got a 75% increase in his yield. Okay? But he paid off his loan. He took the money that he got from that and he bought a cow. Now with the cow, he has cash flow from milk. Okay, he can sell the milk, and suddenly his entire standard of living for him and his family has been improved for a long time. And he wants to play this game again. He likes this game. Now, how much of an impact on the life did that loan have on the borrower, Adamu? That's an asymmetrical financial result. Cost me almost nothing, and my extremely distant cousin is a lot better off because of it, and you're welcome, Adamu. I got a good feeling out of that. And he actually paid the loan off early. It was due December the 1st, which hasn't arrived yet, and he actually paid it off back in February. I got it in March. Okay? Now, here's another one. This is asthma. I remember this one. This particular organization, this is BRAC Pakistan, they pick women to receive the loans because otherwise they're marginalized. It increases their power. They get a little more respectability. Her husband had an arc welder, and it gave up the ghost. And I remember thinking, for $200, which is what that loan was, she wanted to borrow $200 for a year. paid it back. She was not a perfect borrower. She ran into problems down in here. But she ultimately paid it all back. So one moment her husband's unemployed, the next moment he has a business as a welder. He's doing welding. Now, how much of an impact did making this loan have on my life? None. How much of an impact did it have on the life of Asma, she's an extremely distant cousin of mine. How much impact did it have on her life and her family's life?
Huge.
Here's Claudia Alejandra. She lives in Colombia. She was a 19-year-old kid. She was working in a internet shop, in an internet center, internet cafe, that's what I'm thinking of. And this one day, for no particular reason, her boss decides she doesn't want to do this anymore. Maybe he's retiring, he wants to sell the shop, she doesn't have enough money to buy it. Okay? Well, if I was 19 years old and had an opportunity like that fall into my lap, I would want somebody to back me up too. So I backed her up on this. She wanted to borrow, and this is getting a much more loan, $2,125 for 27 months, making monthly payments. She's paid this all back. She was less than perfect also. And she may have refinanced here, or she may have just come into a lot of money, but whatever it was, she paid it all back, okay? These loan updates here are going to be about in Actuar. That's the people that I'll tell you about those in a moment, okay? But again, I have to ask, how much of an impact on my life as a lender did making that loan have for me?
How much did you lend?
$25.
Okay.
Loans are always done in $25 increments unless I make a boo-boo because I got confused because I do a lot of loans. I only loan $25 because the worst thing that could happen to me is I lose $25. Well, do, okay? But she now has an internet cafe and a livelihood. So I submit that that's an asymmetrical financial result. She's in great shape there because of that.
Yeah.
Here's another one. This is another extremely distant cousin of mine.
You got all those all over the place.
Yeah, he lives in Tajikistan, and he wanted just short of $3,000 to buy an oil mill. I love this kind of loan. This is what I call an income-producing durable asset. Okay? He wanted to get an oil mill. I hope he was hoping to get some paint as well. And just like Bill Gates is going out of college and he's starting a business. Okay? He and his brother. They bought this oil mill, he got the loan, he got the oil mill, paid to be off, okay? Now he and his brother have this oil mill, and they press whatever, I don't know what it is, you know what they do, but they now have a business and a livelihood. Again, what did this cost me? How much harm, you know, how much did this affect my life? And how much did it affect his? On the loans, there's all these great information, but here is
Hopefully hemp oil, yes.
How much did you lend Google?
well, Bill Lee. Let me go get him. I think it's fun. Where did Google go?
You
Close
took
it.
Oh, good. Okay. I got spastic fingers here, sorry. There is where Tajikistan is on a map, in case you were wondering.
Ah.
Now, taking a look at Manuela Isabel. She's an extremely distant cousin of mine. She lives in Nicaragua. I can share with you that I've looked at these loans briefly, and she is less than a perfect borrower. She ran into problems paying loans back on time, especially when her mother got ill. Over a period of about 5 years, she took out 5 loans. Here's her first one for $275, fixing up the house, $400, fixing up the house. The average 12 months, and about $400 or even less. $250 to fix up the house, $275, fix up the house, $350, fix up the house. Okay? Now, this is not an income-producing durable asset. It's not a business that's gonna, it's not buying an oil press that's gonna pay for itself out of cash flow. But over the period of these 5 loans, you see that she's paid back every one of these loans. Okay? Now, for the people that supported those loans, I think it was 42 loan units or something, you know, I mean, how the amount of money she borrowed divided by 25, how much did it impact the lives of the people who loaned her that money? But they didn't even miss it. But it's permanently improved her life and the quality of life of her family because they significantly improved the value of their home, okay, and their house. And this is like my favorite loan in the whole world. Possible is the name of a chain of clinics. This one is in Jayagat, whatever, in Nepal, okay? They wanted $9,025 over a period of 98 months. That's like 8 years plus. And the loans are being repaid on an irregular basis. Here's our loan update. Nice little picture right here. And there are the solar panels they bought. Okay. Now, what got me excited about this first was the wrong reason, if you will, was the right brain side. There are 120 babies delivered in that clinic every year. And so some of them inconveniently come at night. So the midwives, when they delivered those babies, had to hold a flashlight in their mouth in order to deliver this baby. Okay? And I said, you know, you shouldn't have to do that. But then maybe more importantly was with reliable electricity, they can have a refrigerator and know that they can run the refrigerator. With the refrigerator, they can have vaccines. Vaccines in the health clinic. What a concept. Now, when I think about this loan and all the good this loan did for me for $25 that I'll get back in more than likely, you know, in 8 years, how do you think I feel about that? Do I say, gee, I've got $25 now for 8 years, I'll never do it. Or do I say, hot dog, bring me more of these? You know, I assure you, it's bring me more of these. Okay. So microfinance is the provision of financial services to the poor. Okay. Now, when I talk about poor, I'm talking about extremely poor. When I say extremely poor, I'm not talking Mississippi poor. I'm talking Mali poor. I'm talking about Mozambique poor. These are people who lost the birth lottery. I had the good fortune to be born in Indiana, not India. If any of us had been born in the developing world, we'd be in the same situation that these people are. These people are just like us, except they lost the birth lottery. They're willing to work hard. They want to make a better future for themselves and for their children. And they don't have access to financial services and the opportunities that we take for granted. For some reason, financial organizations don't want to loan money to extremely poor people. That doesn't mean that they don't have their own kind of informal system that they're using, but it has its limitations. It's extremely limited. Okay? You could be the best fisherman in the entire world, but if you do not have or cannot borrow the $500 or so that it takes to buy a fishing net, you're just plain out of luck. So microfinance is an effort to bring real financial services recognizable that we would recognize to extremely poor people. This is the traditional model of the way it works. You have banks, non-governmental institutions. They provide the capital to a microfinance institution. They're on the ground in India or Kenya or Nigeria or wherever. And the microfinance institution loans the money out to the entrepreneurs on the ground there. Now, getting that money from the bank or the non-governmental organization, sometimes it has interest and it can be fairly expensive. It can be hard to get. It could be impossible to get. And so the microfinance institution has to first have the money in order to loan out to the entrepreneur on the ground. Whatever restrictions or issues that they have, the microfinance institutions have in getting the money, by extension, the borrowers have that same problem. What Kiva does is it allows people like us who have won the birth lottery to participate in the microfinance institution. Kiva aggregates the funds, and it takes out the governments and the non-governmental organizations or whatever, and then the money goes to the microfinance institution, who then loans it out to the entrepreneurs. So it's an easier way to do it. It crowdsources the funds, the loans, so that you can spread the risk, accumulate the money, and make the loans. Now, Kiva's role in all this, the three really major roles: they do due diligence examinations of the microfinance institutions that are on the ground in Africa and Asia and Eastern Europe and South America, so that you don't have to. Because I don't want to just loan money to anybody out there. I want somebody who's a good organization to do it. Then they act as a clearinghouse for the loans. People can loan through them. They collect it all up and they send it on. Kiva is a nonprofit organization. It's 501c3 in San Francisco. And then they keep score, if you will, and they report back how the loans perform. So a microfinance institution has a vested interest in not messing it up and not just loaning money to anybody who doesn't pay back, because it's going to affect their statistics as far as how they're effectiveness as lenders, and people won't want to loan them money anymore. So they provide that, and that's all done for free. You're welcome to donate money to them. Now here's the Kiva loan cycle. There are 3 steps that are not shown on this cycle. Step -2. The microfinance organization enters into the appropriate agreements and is vetted by Kiva so that they can participate. Step -1, the microfinance institution takes money that they have and they loan it out to a borrower. Step 0, the microfinance institution posts that loan on the Kiva website. Now, right now, I think they have 45 days to fund it. It usually is 30 days, but it's the holiday season and they're extending it. So they post these, and there's generally between 4,000 and 6,000 loans on the website at any one time. And the lender decides, I like that one. I want to loan to that particular borrower, okay? So you say, I want to take this $25, and you send it over to Kiva for this loan. Kiva collects them all up, okay? There might be 100 people, you have $2,500, and when they have all the money there, then the loan becomes fully funded. That money gets transferred to the microfinance institution on the ground. So basically, they've got their money back. Now they can go out and loan again. If the loan does not fund, then they 100% funding, then they don't get the loan. They have loaned the money out and they don't have any more money coming in, going out again. When the borrower makes payments, the borrower makes payments back to the microfinance institution. Whether the loan was funded or not, the relationship there between the borrower and the microfinance institution is where the borrower pays the money back. The microfinance institution, if it got the money through Kiva, sends the money back to Kiva, and then Kiva sends the money back to the lenders. And then the lender can decide, I want to do this again, this was fun, or no, I don't want to do this again, I'm going to take my money out, or they can donate money to Kiva, or whatever. It's their money, it's in their account. Okay? Now, parameters of loans. Christmas. Oh no, I'm okay. There are about 12,000 loans posted on Kiva every month. Loans are usually, not always, but usually pre-dispersed, where the microfinance institution has put out money and the borrower already has the money. Average loan amount is a little under $500. Loans, as I commented before, are made in $25 increments, usually in the currency of the borrower's home country. So Mongol tugrits, or I can't think of any cool, Kenyan shillings. Okay? Average loan repayment term is just under 16 months. Interest rates. 30% interest is not uncommon in the developing world. When it comes to finance in the developing world, you must unlearn what you have learned. These are high interest or high risk loans for the most part, because you're loaning to extremely poor people. They are very small. There's a lot of overhead for them. They're short term. So there's like a fixed cost for them, like a servicing fee to pay, because it takes the same amount of staff time for a $100 loan as it does for a $1,000 loan. And then you have some kind of interest rate on it as well. Now, I heard recently of a loan with 1,000% annual percentage rate. And it was a secured loan too. But I digress. I'm not talking about auto title loans in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm talking about loans to extremely poor people in the developing world. Loans, generally, you have three kinds. In general, individuals, groups, or small, medium, and large groups, and social businesses where they're trying to, you'd have to see it to understand that, I think. Repayments are monthly, although they're not always equal payments, or irregularly, because the cash flows may be kind of funny, and they are modeled to be a successful loan, or an end-of-term loan. You have field partners out there that are totally nonprofit, field partners out there that are for-profit, that are ethical, if you will. Some of them put a limit on the amount of money they're willing to earn, and they often run other programs. They don't just lend money. They teach people how to read and write, how to run a budget, and the social business loans. There are screening tools on the website. When you have 12,000 loans a month, you want to find a loan you like. It helps to not just try to look over 12,000 loans. So you can screen it by country or countries. Maybe your great-grandmother came from Armenia. You want to make loans in Armenia, okay? Gender, if you want to loan to only the women. Sector, agriculture, education, retail, etc., like that. Attributes for higher education or job creation, or there's a bunch of different areas in there. There are tags that any lender can apply to a loan. There's 26 tags. One of my favorites is income producing durable asset. Another one actually down is 27 tags. Trees, for people that do with trees. So you can find loans that have certain attributes for them. And then there's an advanced section where you can really narrow down on it, and then you can create and save searches to find the loans that you like. Lending teams. This is, in my mind, an important aspect of Kiva. Lending teams are self-organized groups where members can connect with one another and rally around shared lending goals. And you can be in as many teams as you would like to be in. They're a great resource. If you have questions, you post it there, someone will answer the question for you. We have, what it basically is, a group of people who are all lending money out at 0% interest to help people in the developing world. They're not exactly going to probably get in your face about any dumb question you might care to ask, okay? Because they get all asked, everybody asks those questions. So you learn the ropes there. Team categories include common interest, friends, religious congregations, memorials, and schools. There's 17 categories in all, including other. And anyone with a lending account can create a team, and I've created several of them myself. Some of the team names, my favorite, the A+ team is what I call it, what we call it. Atheists, agnostics, skeptics, freethinkers, secular humanists, and non-religious. That is the #1 team, lending team for all time on Kiva. Then we have what I refer to as that pesky #2 team.
Close second.
Second, a not so close second, but they're closing the gap every month, the Kiva Christians. The highest lending team in the religious congregations area is the Church of the Flying Spaghetti. I love that. They eclipsed the Mormons and the Baha'is and the Nerd Fighters, TripAdvisor, Friends of Bob Harris. Bob Harris wrote a book called The International Bank of Bob. Suggest you read it.
Good read.
It's a good read. And there are multiple specific collectors teams. I collected countries. I still collect countries. I collect field partners. I collected all the activities there are, 149 different economic activities, and I've got a loan at every one of them. Why? Because it's there. Here are some more team names, people with special interests, solar, wind power, sanitation, paying it forward, Team Canada, that's for the Canadians, income producing durable asset lenders, and my favorite, holy cow, high impact loan lenders that Sarah made a very nice icon for it. It's for those loans when you're sitting there and you're looking at loans and it makes you practically jump out of your chair and say, holy cow, what a great loan. That clinic loan did that to me. Holy cow, what a great loan.
And here you had a bunch of blank white space on this slide, and I don't see the holy cow emblem.
Oh, we'll get to the holy cow.
All right, all right.
I'm not that good at PowerPoint being able to insert that kind of stuff. Here's some more names. Yes, really. Babies! People who like to lend because there's a picture of a baby or a child in the loan picture. Women or men wearing hats. Fabulous fabrics. Women who lend to shirtless men. Team turquoise. So people that have the color turquoise is somewhere in the picture. Electronic animal enthusiasts. You know how you take a picture and sometimes the eye reflects that funny color? It looks like they're possessed. It's from a horror show, right? And they're zombie animals. They like that. And wheels and watermelons because just whimsy and alliteration. So if you have a loan, one of the things you can do is put on a hat, put your baby in a turquoise blanket and hold it there. Okay? Have your husband standing there without a shirt. Okay? And have a sheep back there with the eye that lights up. All these people will be interested in that loan. Sample interest, collectors, countries, activities, or field partners. I mentioned that earlier. Specific countries, maybe if you like the sound of the word Tajikistan, you get a loan there. Butchers, bakers, they don't have any candlestick makers, but cobblers. Specific field partners, those are two real good ones, Friendship Ridge and Fundación Pro Mujer. They provide more than just loans. They're trying to help, these are a bunch of liberal, pointy-headed people trying to make the world a better place. They do a real good job of it too. Or housing, water, sanitation, electricity, education, if you have specific purposes, or planting trees. And the way I started, banker style, like I want to loan money to people who are going to buy something that can be used to pay the loan off. I'm going to loan like a banker. Or if you like extreme, loans that have a high impact. I mean, not just not regular impact, but I mean a high impact like that clinic. That's a holy cow loan. How do you lose money in this? Because you don't get any money. The interest rate's always at 0%. Occasionally there are loan defaults. The repayment rate is pretty much in excess of 98%. That's down from a little over 99%. And you have currency conversion losses. So if you're loaning money in Liberian dollars, and the value of the Liberian dollar should erode by more than 10%, then you would stand to lose money. The way it works is the local field partner, the loan's going to be done in Mongolian tugrits, let's say, because they're in Mongolia. So you loan $25 out, there's $1,000 loaned out total. They convert it to Mongolian tugrits. Now they have the tugrits. They repay back in tugrits. They take the lender, the borrower repays a loan in tugrits. The Microfinance Institution converts it to dollars and sends it back to Kiva. The first 10 percentage points of loss for currency conversion is eaten by the Microfinance Institution. So it always worries me when I have losses for currency conversion, because it means that usually nonprofit organization got hit first. Okay? It shelters me to enable me to be willing to loan again. Okay? So I have had 211 loans that have finished. I've lost money on 11 of them. 4 of them, there was some sort of a default. Not one of them was one or two of them were fairly large defaults, as a percentage of the $25. And the other 7 were all currency conversion losses. Yes, Mary?
Does that mean if you lend out $25, you're gonna only get back $22.50 because 10% is gonna be taken out?
The question is, if I loan out $25, am I only going to get back $22.50 because 10% is going to be taken out? No. If I loan out $25 and I loan, it goes to Kiva, goes to the Microfinance Institution, goes to the entrepreneur, but it goes to the entrepreneur in the currency of that country. Let's say there's no losses for currency conversion, or at least none in excess of 10%. That lender, that borrower repays his loan to the Microfinance Institution. They convert it to my $25 a loan, send it to Kiva, Kiva gives it back to me. So, no.
Who paid the money conversion?
Pardon?
Who paid the money conversion?
Who, what, the money conversion?
Pays.
Pays. They convert it there. The Microfinance Institution.
So who's giving them the money if they're not taking it out of the goods, the money, the donations? Somebody.
You just said before that the microfinance company eats that first 10%.
Well, if, let's say there is a loss of currency conversion.
There's always a loss of currency.
Oh, well.
No, it could go up.
No, it could go up.
It can go up.
They'll pay a fee, there's wiring fees involved because they wire the money hither and yon.
Right,
Okay.
that's.
The Microfinance Institution pays for that.
Somebody pays the microfinance institution.
Yeah, the borrowers pay interest.
It doesn't go
It might, be right, but it doesn't go back to me. I loan the money out at 0%.
Okay.
The borrowers
Well,
pay
the
interest.
borrower pays it.
Borrowers pay interest, yeah. So now we're going to take a brief tour of the Kiva website. How am I on time? Where's the clock?
No, you're plenty. It's only 5 minutes to 11 right now.
Okay. Just for whimsy, I'm going to share this with you. This is the kiva.org/live. These are the loans happening right now. Oh, there goes some right there. Ooh, Troll tech. Well, it looks like intercontinental.
Troll
Ballistic
tech,
Missile,
huh?
but actually,
I know troll
packets of
tech.
money going hither and yon, okay? So,
That's stuff that's happening real time.
real time, yeah.
Bruce, is that new?
Is what new?
Is this new, that shop?
It's been there for a while.
Oh, okay, cool.
But if you're a member of a large team, one way to find out about these things, you read the message board, and it'll say, oh yeah, you know, because one of the things you can do, like if you do 50 loans at once, the guy said, yeah, I did that, and I switched over and I watched them all go out. You know? That's great, you know. Or repayment time, you know, repayments come in start on the 17th of the month, and then like there's about 2 days of time when auto lending is shut down, but auto lending comes back on, because some people just haven't auto loaned out, because they don't want to pick loans or they're too busy, or whatever. So they just have it, just keep on, whoever want, you know, send it out wherever it needs to go. And so now they have a bunch of money in there, and auto lending comes on, and it just goes, it just sends out millions of dollars all over the place, you know, all at one time. It's really cool.
How did you get to that?
Kiva.org/live.
No. Oh, /live, thank you.
/live, yeah. So, well, yeah, it's a cool nerd thing. You know.
That is cool.
So, now you notice, by the way, I should have pointed this out, but I'm not signed in. So when you see Adamu, my extremely distant cousin over here, I'm not signed in. Anybody can go to the Kiva website and look at these loans and look at the microfinance institutions, okay? Let's look at Claudia's here, because not all of them have been completely, you know, have been through the full process and all that. This one's called Interactuar. This is in Colombia. I call these merit badges. They're social performance badges. They're particularly good at these particular areas. There's a total of 7 that they could get. They've had full due diligence done on them. Out of the 5 stars, they're rated 3.5 stars out of the 5, but that's a good rating. They've been on Kiva for just under 4 years, loaned out, and how much money they loaned out. Okay, so their average cost of the borrowers is 34% annual percentage rate. Their profitability after they get done losing money or whatever, you know, is 5.6%. I can do better than that in the market. Their delinquency rate, let's go to loans at risk, that's better, that's more important for a lender. 23% of their loans at any one time, on average, are behind in payments. Okay, Claudia was. And 4.33% of the money that gets loaned to them goes out in default. That's not very good. It's not completely bad, but it's not really great. Okay. Who's this one? Manuela. Pakistan. Let's look at them. Anti-poverty, vulnerable group, innovation. Okay. They're 3.5 stars. 42% annual yield for their total cost of the borrower. Money is expensive.
Profitability.
Profitability minus 13%. Would you like some of that action? So they're loaning out money at an average cost overall 42% and losing money. So they're constantly, this is a worry to me, they're constantly, because they're a foundation though, having to raise money to support this program. Okay. Default rate, zilch, 0, nada, gardeeks. Okay. Nobody's lost money on them so far. So let's go take a look at the teams. Oh, I think I'll sign in.
Hey, that's my password.
We share everything.
Yeah, I use 6 dots myself.
So, now I tend to prefer to loan money to borrowers through microfinance institutions that are not out there trying to proselytize. Okay. This particular team, the #1 lending team in all of Kiva's history, has a lot of people in it that do a lot of work, and one of the things they have is this team resource here that filters out the loans of people that are out there trying to proselytize. So we just come here and click this, shazam, here we go, 3,493 loans. If we go to look at Claudia's back here, just look at Lend. There's 40, am I still, oh, on that one. Okay, 46, 42, and, you know, I'm all lost. Oh, well. What's happening now? 30, under 35, so that filtered out those ones, okay? Now, I'm going to go all the way down to advanced options, which is already open because it's picked out the microfinance institutions right here that are okay, that are safe, all right? I'd like these people to have a star rating of a minimum of 2.5 stars out of 5. I don't like to lose money, so I'm going to reduce this down to like 1% or so. I'm generous today, 1.1. Okay. I am going to limit to women because women tend to be better at it than men. It goes, you know, I'm speaking kind of off the cuff, kind of. What's the word I'm looking for? Anecdotally, thank you. Women spend it to help their families, guys go out drinking with their buddies. Okay, so we're down to only 1,500 loans. I'm going to go for an income producing durable asset. Look for that tag there, and here we go. All right.
Sewing machine.
Julay Ku lives in Tajikistan. She's going to buy a sewing machine to sew garments. I'm going to go this from random, and I'm going to go to expiring soon. Okay, this loan here might not make it in Kyrgyzstan, your boo-boo. She still needs $1,600 that she has a little less than 4 hours ago. She might just make it. If she does not, then the Bai Tashum Bank will handle her loan, but they don't get any, there's no cavalry coming over the hill in the nick of time. Okay. Livestock, auto repair, that's exciting. Gonna buy paint and dent repair accessories for her husband's auto repair business. Ooh, that looks good. So.
Turquoise.
Turquoise.
There you go,
So she's 30 years old, 3 kids, Lahore, Pakistan, her own body shop, blah, blah, blah. He needs it for this reason, he's got getting a loan, she loves us a lot. She's
Why does that come up under women, when the loan is for the man's?
Because the borrower is a woman. The question is, why does the loan come up under women if it's the loan's for her husband? Because she's the borrower, because otherwise she'd be marginalized. And there's a lot of discussion about that, but basically it's like, you know, she's now more important in the family because because he couldn't get the loan, only she could get the loan. And now they got the loan and now the business is better off. That's why. Did I answer your question?
So he owes her.
He owns her. Yeah, but, you know, it helps, the family business gets better all around, it helps her out as well, okay? So, this is Pakistan. Oh, we looked at these, 42% minus 13, never having a default, 3.5 stars. Pakistan on the map. Let's see who's in this. Here's some people here that are in this. These are some of the lenders. You can be anonymous if you want. Oh, if a loan goes delinquent or defaults, it's made anonymous to people looking at it on the web, so you can't, to preclude the stigma that comes from it. But if you're a lender to that and you're signed in, then you do get to see who it is and all that, who stiffed you, you know. And here are the teams, the gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgendered Cubans and friends, Cuban Muslims, these people, who they are. And
Turbo
this is
electric.
really good here. I think I'll just do this. Okay.
Oh, in action.
Okay.
Now we ought to have the other screen to show it live.
Oh, yeah. That's why it's there. Okay. Now, earlier today, or yesterday, I looked around for loans, okay? And every one of these places these folks live is a different country, and they all have their own laws, okay? So in India, if you're loaning money to India, because of Indian banking regulations, they require it to be there for 43 months. So the first party borrowing, it may only borrow it for 6 months, but it doesn't come back for 43. So that Microfinance Institution, it's all disclosed on the website. They'll continue to loan it out, and you get it back in one lump sum after 43 months. Okay. But
You know
one,
what, Bruce,
yes,
isn't
ma'am.
that the first one, loan of $475 to repair a motorcycle?
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's look at it.
Don't you think that's an exorbitant amount for a motorcycle repair?
Well, maybe it is because you can buy motorcycles for that
That's what
price.
I'm thinking.
Okay. Now,
Buying one.
if you read the International Bank of Bob,
Okay.
as I did, Duke says in there at least 3 times that they know what they're doing better than you know what they're doing. Okay? You have to trust them to know they're not stupid people, you know. You'll say things like, you're paying 40% interest, you know, what about that? And they had 2 responses, 1 or 2 responses. I can do math. Or, yeah, you know. I mean, because they're aware of what it is. These guys don't just run out there and do this because they want to, you know. But yeah,
He needs it to keep his job.
yeah,
Yeah.
He needs it to keep his job.
yeah. Well, but maybe he should be buying another motorcycle, you know, or getting it repaired more cheaply. Maybe he needs an engine. I don't know.
And if you don't like that loan, choose a different
There's
one.
only another 3,400 loans to choose from.
Yeah, and wait, one more thing,
Okay?
just in general. You see that, well, let's take him since we're talking about him anyway.
Okay.
It says 1 hour and 45 minutes left,
Yep.
where he needs to find another 32%.
No, he needs to find $150. The original loan amount is for $475. $150 is what's left on his loan. They listed this loan on October 24th. Okay, today is November the 23rd. He's got 1 hour, 44 minutes left to fund that loan. He's probably going to make it. Let's do this. Well, I don't have an hour left. So.
Yeah, no.
Okay. You can star a loan. You notice I starred that. Okay. That way you can find it again very easily. So I'm going to go to the lend screen. And I'm going to come down here to my list. And there he is, and there is the Saraswati group in India. And one of the members, this is a group loan, one of the members wants to buy a rice huller. I like that. That's an income producing durable asset, okay? Now, they warn you, you know, right here it is, it's a 43-month loan, don't fiddle around with this, and you don't get anything back till it's all over, okay? Group loans are, you know, people wonder about them and worry about them, but there's I remember seeing a group loan for 82 people in Africa, okay? And they were all borrowing the equivalent of $61. If the Microfinance Institution could do all their work through one person who gets 9 lieutenants, who has 9 projects, you know, and they all get it together at one time, then it reduces the cost overall for it. So they all get the benefit of it for one administrative fee, okay? That's what they're doing here too. Okay? So I liked this loan, and I like those fabrics. I love the Indian loans, and even they have their saris and they're all colorful. It's just nice pictures. Wait till you see, they've got somebody to buy. Yes, Mike.
Kiva, Bruce, are all the Kiva employees unpaid?
Are all the Kiva employees unpaid? No. No. There's a lot of volunteer work done, but it's a nonprofit organization, and so they're going to be what you call under-resourced.
How much is their CEO getting?
The CEO recently resigned, and you know, he founded it, and he got another one. They're bringing someone else on or whatever. But he was making $120,000 a year. Okay, considering that he has an MBA and he started something else up, and he's a high-powered guy, and I'm like, $120,000 isn't very much money in San Francisco, considering the credentials and the work he's doing. Yes.
You're going in and lending 25 at a time. I think you explained that there's groups that you can belong to, and you donate to those groups, and then maybe that group completely funds an individual?
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be myself making the decisions, it would be the group that I'm participating in?
No. The question is, when you have a group that's doing this, it's not you making the choice, it's the group. No. I'm going to loan to this group here, okay? I chose to do that. They can't use anything else with that money except that group, okay? So I'm in that, and we have, besides me, we have all these lenders here that are in it, okay? And we have, they're representing these teams right here. Look at that beautiful A+.
Yeah.
So.
Is your question about the teams versus the groups?
Yeah, maybe teams is what? Is there,
No,
like, maybe I don't want to make the decisions $25 at a time, but maybe a particular group funds clinics for women in Africa.
So what, okay, so, well, you would go to a team for information and for camaraderie and getting, you know, things like that. If you don't know what you want to, if you know what you kind of sort of want to lend to, auto lending would be a really good choice for you in that regard.
And what's that?
Okay, I want to defer that question.
Okay.
Now, the Mahashakti Foundation, all right, they're going to husk rice, okay? This is a group loan. So all of these women, however many there are in this group, a bunch of them. And Odisha, India is not a place you probably care to live. Okay? If I got them funded, I'm going to uncheck that so that it'll drop off. This foundation rated 3.5 stars, 24% annual yield. That's low. Yes, ma'am.
So those ratings aren't for that group that's getting the loan. That's for the company
That's for the microfinance. Yes, that's the Microfinance Institution locally, Mahashakti Foundations. This is their experience. They lose money on every loan, but they make it up in volume if you want some of that action. And, it must be relatively new, yeah, 27 months, yeah. They've been on for 27 months, but since the lending time is 43 months, they don't have any results back yet. You can't really know how well they're doing, okay? So we're gonna, and there's a write-up here, as there is usually, about the Microfinance Institution or whoever, or field partner is a more generic term. They're not all lending organizations. Okay, so we have right now two people that we're looking at. We're going to My Basket. Okay, and right here, repayment will not be available for these 3 years. Okay, so you know, you saw it right there. And then Nazi's group in Pakistan, auto repair. All right. When I make my donations, I do it in a lump sum because it's easier for me to track because I do get to deduct it. So I don't donate money at the same time that I'm making loans. So there's a little tree there. They suggest $7.50. I think the reason is that if they figure out their total costs and the total amount of loans they make, so if they got that from every loan, then they wouldn't have to worry about raising money to pay their bills. You donate more and the tree gets more leaves. You donate less and the tree gets more.
My card does
This
this.
all day. I think I will. Okay, and then I have nothing in my account right now, so we're going to go over here to continue. Pay now. I'm crediting this to the A+ team. You can choose what team you want to do. A+.
Can you go back to that? Because you did that kind of swiftly and that people were interested in
Oh,
how you,
certainly.
the tree thing? No, not the tree. Uh-oh. No, because you said you
I'll go back
attributed it
to
to the team, but
Right.
you did that very swiftly.
Right. We'll cover a little bit about teams then, okay? People can, they have their favorite teams. Like if you discovered something, because if you're on the babies team, you might contribute a loan to the babies team. But if you're limited hats, then you find a loan with someone wearing a hat, you do that one. And if you have both and you're conflicted, you have to decide which one you're going to do. Whoops. The only way to get money, well, actually it's not true, but the way that you get money into a PayPal account is, or into your Kiva lender account is through PayPal. Now, does everybody know where Phoenix, Arizona is on a world map?
Are we on the map?
Okay. So we're going to pay now. Cut to happening now. And for Bruce over here, one's going to India, the other's going to Pakistan. Fire missiles. And here's the feed of the loans. There you go. Enjoy. Come back to order confirmation. I funded this loan as a demonstration at the HSGP meeting.
Into the GP.
GP, not PG.
Now, I wonder if I can get Human Society of Greater Phoenix in there. I bet I can.
Oh, we should have plenty of room.
There's limited text you can do.
Made it.
Posted on Facebook,
Right on.
and it's now on Facebook.
All right.
All right, so we had a question about teams. I'm going to go with my teams. here's all the activities going on, posting, and all the teams I'm in. These are the teams I'm in. Let's go to that A+ team. Here's a message board. And Kevin, thanks to everybody who did this. And Talented Quality, great course. That is a great course. I haven't read it, but it's there. By the way, I should mention that microfinance got to start thanks to a guy named Dr. Mohammed Yunus. And I forget all the years and stuff. I think in 74, sometime in the 70s, he took $27 out of his own pocket and loaned it to people in a village because they were manufacturing something. They didn't have the money to buy the materials they needed. And he got this crazy idea, and he went out in like 1998, I think it was, he founded Grameen Bank, doing microfinance in Bangladesh. Then in 2006, I think it was, he got a Nobel Peace Prize for having started microfinance. He's considered the godfather of microfinance.
Excellent. Bruce, how long has Kiva been around?
How long has Kiva been around? I forget.
It's 10 years.
He's been around for 10 years.
Another softball. How much are they loan? You know what that is, ballpark?
A lot. Well, I can figure it. I'll come back to that in a minute.
All right.
There's that rabbit hole. But so if you have questions here, you can post it there. And
Show us the Holy Cow team.
yeah, let's go to the Holy Cow team. I love the Holy Cow team.
Where's the logo?
No, it doesn't show. I'll tell you what. Here are the loans that have been made on behalf of the Holy Cow team. I don't attribute them to the Holy Cow team any longer because I don't.
Because you're trying to boost the A+ team?
Yeah, I'm trying to goose the A+ team. So here's a loan in Brazil. Brazil's a relatively rare, or has been a relatively rare nation. Oh, that lovely A+ team and that pesky number 2 team. Okay, here's the Holy Cow logo.
There's the Holy Cow. Let's see, there we go.
The moon, huh?
Yes.
Gotta love that. I just love that. So, we talked briefly about auto lending. We go to settings. By the way, if there's interest in it, I'll set up a workshop here where I can display stuff on the website and you can follow on the laptops and set up your accounts and things like that if you'd like to. If there's interest in that.
Bruce, how did you pick the health clinic? What parameters did you put in to get the health clinic?
How did I pick the health clinic? The answer is I don't have a clue. I don't remember. Yes I do. Yes I do. I collect field partners. And that was a new field partner called Sun Farmer. They have exactly 2 loans and I'm on both of them. That was their first loan. When they came up, I just went out and because I basically do all of them for any new field partner that comes up, I just loaded them on it, just to give them some support. Okay. So they were there and I saw that and I said, oh my God, so to speak. And I posted it on the A+ team and I posted it on the Holy Cow team, and it did not take long for that loan to fill. You had to be on top of it. It's in Nepal too, and Nepal is a relatively rare nation, so all the country collectors were after it as well. All the partner collectors, all the country collectors, all the Holy Cow people, you know, they were all over that loan. And then when the second loan came up, got the same treatment. I saw a loan come up. It was basically, it was for $100,000. It's the largest loan they've ever had on there, and it was to cause a business to get started in Haiti that was going to employ all these people and have farmers grow this stuff, some kind of beans, castor oil beans or something, I don't know what. But it took less than 3 days for that thing to be fully funded. It was just stunning. So if I, here's my settings, okay? If I go to, let's see, talk about credit. Here's where you would go to decide, well, I want a loan to this various things, you know. So loan, when I have money, auto lending, whenever I have credit available, loans, $25. You can pick the countries you want, you can pick the sectors you want, you can pick the partners you want. You can put all other things on there, or you can put a keyword in as well.
So is Germany one of the countries you haven't collected on?
Yeah, that's a mistake. Germany is a mistake in there. What'll happen is they put a new field partner in that hasn't made a loan yet for Tunisia, and their headquarters is in Germany, and so it happened with France as well. Everyone, you know, oh boy, I want to loan to France, right?
United States.
There are loans in the United States for actual borrowers borrowing money. They live in parts of town that you wouldn't care to live in. They're often refugees or immigrants themselves, and they're poor. They don't have a credit history, but they want to run a beauty parlor or whatever. Okay. There was another question here about teams. What was it about? How to select teams. Let me see if I remember how to do that.
Is there a value to going through a team as opposed to just an individual going in?
Is there a value that's going through a team?
No, it's
opposed
just
to
a
an
rah-rah
individual? Not particularly. I mean, there are a lot of people that they didn't even know there was such a thing as a team, you know, and then they say, oh, I found this A+ team, oh, I'm so glad, you know, and I'm like, it's only the number one on the list. It's been there for years, you know. You know, it's to ask questions. You can do it. You don't have to be alone, and you can get questions answered or share great loans that you find. Right now, there's a tag for income-producing durable assets. There didn't used to be tags, so I founded the income-producing durable asset lenders team, so that when you found a great loan like that, you could tell people about it, and the people want to go and loan money to somebody who wants to buy a shoe shine box, you know, and have a business, right? But now that might be a little obsolete.
Bruce, on the loans here in the United States, do you have any idea what the average interest rate at the lender level is like?
Do I have an idea what the interest rate is like on the lender level? Not off the top of my head. I don't think it's nearly as high as it is in the developing world. We have usury laws in this country. Anecdotally, my information is that the lenders in the United States do not do as well as the lenders in the developing world. Mike?
Is that 23,000 your investment or the 18 investment?
That's mine.
What's the promotional credit?
What is the promotional credit? They've had, they're not doing it right now, but if you sign somebody up, if you recruited somebody, they'd give you $25 to make another loan to someone, you know, because when you're kind of sort of starting out, you know, I'm way past being excited about making another loan like that. However, what I do like is that when you can get into an account and you can see the number of who you've recruited and how many loans they make, people can see that if they really want to look, and it's kind of like a feather in your cap, you know. Mike, again?
Well, how much does the A team have in their account?
How much does the A team have? Oh, you mean right now? I don't know.
How much have they loaned?
How much have they loaned?
$619,000.
Oh, no, it's like 16 million. We just
More
covered
than
18
that.
million. Hang on, give me a minute.
Yeah, it's big.
About
Loans tab.
here we go. $18 million in change.
The other was the outstanding loans.
I don't know how many loans are outstanding.
Well, there was a number on the other tab of 619,000.
How many loans they made?
He's giving you the number of
I mean,
dollars.
that one right there?
That's
That's the
that's
number of loans.
Okay. And that's all for all time? that
For
have
all
been
time, yeah.
That have been attributed to that?
Wow. Let's do that.
Okay, Art, you got a question?
Yeah, I was wondering, do they have their imposed biases, say like one of the more famous crops of Colombia?
Does who have whose biases?
The, any of the loaning.
I want to grow marijuana. Can I get a loan?
Yeah. One of the more famous crops of
Don't bother.
If it's legal, you can do it. You have to go through a microfinance institution that's been vetted by Kiva. You can't just walk up and say, I want to borrow money. And you are also subject to the social review, so to speak, of the people who loan money. Cockfighting is a big deal in Latin America, okay? Don't bring no cockfighting loans, because no one's going to fund them, right? They don't like that, you know. So they try to, you know, they sneak one in, like it's for raising chickens. That cage is too big. We're not loading that. We're not doing that.
I want to point out that on the right-hand side, for this month, Kiva Christians are ahead of the atheists. So we got to do something about that.
Why don't you just give me a paper cut and pour lemon juice in it? Yes, I've been tracking that, yeah. You know, I've been tracking that, and they're not as far ahead as they should be. They're usually, the last few months, they've been ahead of us by 6 figures at the end of every month. And they're chipping away at our #1 rating. See, they got a ways to go, but if they keep this up, they'll do it. You know, you know, and that's where, you know.
That's why you have teams.
That's why you have teams, you know.
You never did get to the point where you show how to select a team.
Yeah, I know.
They kind of got sidetracked.
Well, when you look at the number of Christians, they're behind. Per capita. Per capita, they're behind.
Who's behind?
The Christians.
No,
Per capita.
the Christians make more loans per capita than the atheists do. Oh, yeah?
How can that be?
Well, you take the number of loans and you divide it by the number of members. I can show you.
Christians.
No,
In the
we're talking
world.
about team members, yeah.
In the world.
Yeah. Okay. Let's say I was going to lend to this guy, which I'm not going to do. Okay, but I go to my basket. Right here, I
Apply
can
to
choose
lending team. This is
apply
what you
lending team.
go out for.
And there's a place in there where I can't think about it right now, but you can set your default team, which I've set to be the A+ team. Sorry, Oscar. Any other questions?
Can you look and see the A+ team, what they've lost for,
No, I cannot see that.
oh, you can't see?
I can see what I've lost.
But
You
not
want to see
their
that?
team.
Let's do that. Because everybody's going, how much have you lost, Bruce?
I saw it 50 cents on every $25.
Pardon?
Your thing, said 49 cents on every $25.
No.
No?
I mean, and I'll be honest with you, when I first started this, and I've done a lot of collecting, and I don't underwrite the loans very well. I just grab it, because if I think it sounds good, great. But if you are actually paying attention to the loans, you can select loans from field partners with good histories and reduce your chances of loss. So here's all my loans. I have 211 that are paid back. And these 11 that ended with loss, okay, that's a currency exchange loss in Ghana. This one in Mexico defaulted. That kind of annoyed me because she didn't pay very much back, but oh well.
Party supplies,
Yeah,
what do you think she was
thinking?
gonna do?
I got that loan because party supplies was one of the 149 activities and I hadn't collected it yet and now I have.
But now you know why you don't like the party supplies.
But this is a currency exchange loss in Mongolia.
So it wasn't a total loss, you got some of it repaid.
Yeah, I got from the party girl, I got 383 out of my 25 back.
Wasn't there a summary in the stats up above?
Yeah, but I'm just going over the ones where I've lost money. 211 loans, I've lost money on 11. Okay, so here's currency exchange, defaulted, currency exchange, currency exchange, currency exchange, defaulted. This kind of broke my heart. I got not a lot back either. This gal lives in El Paso, and she had an opportunity. She got a deal to buy a semi truck on the cheap, you know, and needed $5,500 or so to finish it up. And I'm like, yeah, income producing durable asset. Take the country off the list, and I don't know, c'est la guerre. Currency exchange defaulted. This was a strange loan. He repaid 42% of the loan. Okay, this particular loan was a end-of-term loan, 15 months, okay? And he repaid it.
He bought stock.
Yeah, he bought Coca-Cola, and he was repaying his loan early. And then before the payment was even due, the microfinance organization said that he had, quote, absconded, unquote. You know, I mean, so the loan wasn't even around long enough to fail, and they said, no, we'll take it on the chin, it's not gonna work.
Bruce, what are those times twos? I mean, is the person's second loan?
No, I mean, sometimes, well, the question is, what's that times two? You have matching funds sometimes on loans. Occasionally, you have foundations or individuals that say, if you loan this, we'll match your loan, okay, up to a certain amount. And this is, okay, defaulted, currency exchange loss, defaulted, currency exchange loss. This was a one here. This was in Rwanda. It was my first loan in Rwanda. And they're supposed to pay back here in November of 2013, and they paid some back. And then the long fighting thing, they actually paid more back after the loan was overdue than they paid on time, if you will. And then they finally said, okay, it's over, it's done, you know. So these fellows who are outstanding in their field. Cameron?
So you've had 11 loans default or have problems out of 1,600 loans, is that right?
Well, out of 211 that have ended.
Okay.
I mean, like, I've got loans in India, they could be going crazy bad and I would have no clue. I made loans for Honey Care Africa. I think bees are a good thing, right? So like, yeah, you want to buy $300 and you get a beehive, that's an income producing durable asset. It takes 3 years for you to get your money out, or 4 years. Okay, that's fine. You know, go tell the bees to go crazy, get working, and pay me back later. But they could go bad and I wouldn't know it, you know. I mean, you don't know. You really don't know. But the point of the matter is, in spite of the fact that I've lost nearly $100 in all this,
Small price.
it's not very much money, and it does an awful lot of good in the world, okay?
And it's tax deductible, probably.
No, it's not.
No?
No,
Okay.
it's not. Question is, it tax deductible? No.
Only the donations.
Donations to Kiva are tax deductible. Losing money that you borrowed when you expected to get back is not. Question.
Who audits Kiva?
Who audits Kiva? I don't know, their auditor.
No, I mean, we've had other things like, what is it, the 3 cups of tea? fellow who ended up skimming off a lot of money and going, this sounds wonderful, I want to do it.
Yeah, I don't know, there are
a financial check on it to make sure that there's no slippage that's significant.
Yeah, they're a 501c3 organization, and I'm sure they're audited. That's where I'm going. Well, all Charity Navigator does, to be fair, is look at their Form 990. And let's see, they're pegged pretty much. Well, not quite completely pegged. So accountability and transparency, 100%, financial, 98.
What is pegged to me?
That's pretty
I
darn
mean, you
good.
can't get any better.
Yeah.
They're pegged at 100% right there. So they're accountability and transparency. So they're a legitimate 501c3 organization. Now, to be fair, there are other microfinance organizations or other platforms like this out there as well. I don't know much about them, and frankly, I don't care. Kiva's like the largest and best. It's good enough for me. Any other questions?
Yeah,
See, look at this. Everyone's transfixed. It's past 11:30, folks. Yes.
there was an option to reinvest your return somewhere, I think I saw. And, and
Yes.
I'm wondering, how do you keep the accounting clear as to what's come back to you? And now, let's say if $5 has come back to you out of a $25 loan, how does that become auto lend?
You have to turn on auto lending if you want to Well, it comes in, well, how can I explain this? Where's my sign? What's that? I just thought I'd.
That's a good song, anyway.
Yeah. When you get in your account, you can see what happens in there. Here, let me. All right. All right, here I am. So I go to my portfolio, I go to my transactions. I mean, there's a lot to learn on the website. A lot of that's beyond the scope of the presentation, of course. But here's where I did the loan to India. Here's the one in Pakistan. Here's the $50 I put in order to fund that. Here are repayments that came in. Okay, and it goes in there, and you see how much money you have in your account when you are in your account, which is right now for me is 0. Okay.
So
It's all went up.
It's all out.
So that means that no one has paid you back this month on any of your loans? Is that what that means?
No, it means that I've either reloaned all the money or withdrawn all the money.
That's the question.
At the moment, I have no money in there.
So I'm saying, when you get, let's say $14 in there that someone has repaid you on one of your loans,
Okay.
and you say that you want to reinvest, does that get invested as a $14?
The question is, how do reinvestments get done when the payments come in? The payments come in and they go in, you can think of it as a bank account, as a Kiva credit account.
Right.
When you do a loan, you do it in $25 increments. So if you have $14 in, you'd have to add another 11 to make another,
I
to do another
see.
loan. If you have $27 in, you loan out $25, you have $2 left.
Okay.
Will you let us know if you decide to put on a course?
Will I let you know if I decide to put on a course?
Yeah.
Yes. I'll do it through Meetup. The way I anticipated it would go is we'd do it here. I could show stuff on the screen, just like in college. And you could get on the laptops and everyone will be on the wireless.
Will it be on this humanist website?
Meetup? No, it wouldn't be on this humanist website.
You come here
You'd come here
with your
laptop. And I'll show you how to open an account.
For meetup, he says.
I'll do it. I'll put it on Meetup. Yeah.
Okay, I never
So you
done
can.
Meetup.
All right.
Oh,
Yeah, I have staff. Yeah, they'll take care of that. We'll let people know. Any other questions?
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Finally, Bruce is entitled to his own HSGP mug. After all these years.
I think
Did you get a mug for your previous presentation?
I think I did water portfolio theory.
Oh, okay, well,
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
No mug for you.
Did you bring the mug or did you put it in
I
one of
needed
the bins?
I probably put it in the bin. No, I needed this to complete.